Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? I just got home from work and was thinking about doing an AMC video, just kind of going over my thoughts, thinking I wouldn't do it. And then I thought, maybe I should just do this to put out my thoughts. As I'm sure you guys are aware, there's been an announcement that shareholders will be voting on the dilution of AMC shares in December. And so I wanted to go over that and just to kind of document my thought process and share it with you guys and share whether or not, I think this is bearish or bullish. And, to be honest, all up front, I think this is bearish. But I think it's a very interesting time of year. I think it's a very interesting time in the market cycle, whether that's AMC or really crypto. I've been spending a lot of time in that space, thinking over there, and yeah. So I just kind of wanted to go over um, that process, and I hope that this is helpful for you guys. If it is, let me know in the comments below. I'm trying to do more live streams, and so I'm happy to go over the AMC chart, as requests do come up. But I might take a break from doing weekly, bi-weekly AMC coverage just because, with this video, I'm kind of going to lay out my thesis for basically now until December 10th and then December 10th into 2026. And, I feel like one of the things I've been learning about looking at charts, trying to read the markets, trying to do better at this, trying to get better at it, and is that, I think a lot of traders say, you got to be like, at least as long as you're, right more than, 50% of the time, 60% of the time, then you just stack up those gains, whatever. And I think the reality is that everybody's wrong 100% of the time. Nobody ever sells the exact top, nobody ever buys the exact bottom. Things always take longer than we expect, as we're all aware. And yeah, so, with that being said, especially with this video, none of this is financial advice. I'm just kind of trying to share my ideas, and, I hope they're helpful for you guys. I started this channel like 2 years ago. I think I just got my notification on YouTube that I started it 2 years ago. And I've actually been making YouTube videos for 10 years. I've had a couple other channels that I experimented with. One was a big failure. The other one was really just kind of an experiment. And I've just been having fun with this one. I kind of wanted to avoid AMC initially because I know that there's this, big community behind it. But the reality is, I wouldn't still be in the stock market. I wouldn't still be trying to trade if it wasn't for AMC, because it, kept me around. And, while I've been holding AMC, I've been learning other things, about options, got back into crypto and stuff. And, yeah, and then I started doing more routine AMC coverage last year, 2024. I thought that would be, we'd see something, by the end of 2024 or something, that we'd be going higher. I don't know that's the case. But yeah, I'm just gonna, rather than just talking about this with this in the background, I'm just gonna go through my thought process. And so here we are on the AMC Theaters Investor Relations page. I'm gonna include links to all of these in the description of the video, so you can feel free to explore. But also, the internet is your oyster or whatever. You can look up any of the stuff that you want. But yeah, I mean, I was first made aware of this dilution announcement from the Wolf of My Street, Ryan Riggs. You can follow him on X if you like. He does also occasionally do some YouTube videos going over like unusual whales data and stuff. He was actually one of the people that first kind of, inspired me to actually, get unusual whales and start learning about it. So I think that he has a lot of very informative content. But yeah, from this posting, and this was from, let's see, October 7th. So today, as I record this after getting off work late, and he posted this around 6 p.m., which is probably going to be 6 p.m. Central Time because I am in the Midwest. But yeah, so 5:53 there. And so, what he posted is, and there it is. AMC is seeking shareholder approval to authorize more shares at the upcoming stockholder meeting on December 10th. And so AMC has been warning about this. So, we have been aware about this. And so Proposal 5 is to increase the number of authorized shares from 550 million to 1.1 billion. So that's basically just doing like a 1-to-2 reverse split, I believe, effectively as far as the value of what a share is worth. And, I might be mistaken about that, but, it's basically taken the number of shares that are issued and doubling them. And so that is, the proposal to be able to, I believe, authorize that many shares. So I don't know that they would do that all at once. I don't think that they would, because, then that's just a lot of money. And we can actually look at the market cap of AMC over here, my bookmarks, and we can just scroll down. Oh, actually, it's right here. Market capitalization, $1.46 billion. So by diluting the shares by that much, they would effectively, I believe, be getting around $750 million access to basically half of this capital. But again, I could be wrong about that. I don't know how this is all going to roll out, and it's something that we have to vote on. But yeah, so this is a screenshot of what he's talking about. Number 5 here, I'll pull up the actual document. But this is notice of annual meeting of stockholders to be held on December 10th. And so the 0.5 here, or whatever it's called, for the following purposes, let's see. Whatever these numbers are referred to here on the side. The 5th point is to approve an amendment to our certificate of incorporation to increase the total number of authorized shares of our Class A common stock par value of 1 cent per share. That brings back some sore memories for me, which I talked about earlier this year. I was pretty unhappy with the stock for a while. I needed to take a break. And so that is, from taking the share count from 550 million to 1.1 billion shares. So that is Proposal 5. That's what the number 5 is over here. It's a proposal, something that we will vote on. And then also, what's the other image that he has here? It's just a nice one of AMC. And let's see, this is a prior post of his. So, he's following up on himself. So I think that's good. So from March 6th, let's just click on this. So Ryan writes, combing through the recent 10K form from AMC. This is not one I'm going to get into in this video, but they might be requesting shareholder approval this year, upcoming annual stockholder meeting, and possible proposal to authorize more shares under their charter. And so note the risks outlined by AMC if they're unable to seek shareholder approval for a potential increase in new shares. And so currently authorized for 550 million shares, which was amended back in August 14th of 2023. So I think that's, how many shares are out there, I believe. But, to be honest, all this stuff, the legal documents, this is not what I like about the stock market. I'm just trying to, again, share my thought process. And so, as of February 18th of 2025, there were 431.9 million shares of common stock issued and outstanding. So a portion of that 550 million. And then so continuing on, we have approximately 1.07 million authorized shares of common stock remaining that have not been issued or reserved for issuance in connection with our employee stock-based compensation plans or upon conversion of our outstanding exchangeable notes. And so just pausing right here on notes, this makes me think that, they have the ability to issue this many shares, but we only have this many at this time, March whatever of 2025. And this was 2025, right? Yep, March 6th of 2025. And so this makes me think that the 1.1 billion, they would not be issued all at once. So it would not be like a 1-to-2 reverse split dilution. It's something that they would have the ability to dilute that many shares. And so they're doing this because they got to stay afloat. And so let's see, including PIK notes that were issued on the first interest payment date therein on issuance. Okay, so, whatever. Not the legal stuff I don't really like. This is an excerpt taken from pages 29 through 30, the full 10K annual report right there. I'm going to include a link to the first tweet that I was talking about, and you can find this one, going down the rabbit hole from that and get to this link. And so, as always, I encourage everyone, this is Ryan speaking, and I as well, encourage everyone to read these SEC filings, pay close attention to the risk factors as outlined. And so that's kind of why I'm making this video, because I, want to be going over this. And so we'll post proxy DEF 14A from AMC as soon as it is released. Last year, it was released on April 5th in 2024. Okay, anyways, got the same nice little image of AMC there. And so just highlighting from this, he says, as a result, we may in the future seek to obtain the requisite stockholder approval for the authorization of an additional number of authorized and unissued and unreserved shares of common stock. And so we got that notice today on the 7th, as I'm recording this, still before midnight, even though on the East Coast it's past midnight right now. But yeah, which may be used for at-the-market sales, exchanges of notes, private placement transactions, equity grant vesting, and other dilutive issuance. Okay, so, we're made aware of that. Ryan made it very clear to us with his very nice tweet. And if we were to seek but not obtain the requisite stockholder approval to increase our authorized shares, so that would be like if we vote no in December for the 10th meeting, this could create substantial risks, which could have an adverse effect on the market price of our common stock, including that we will be limited in our ability to issue equity to bolster our liquidity and respond to future challenges, including if revenues and attendance levels do not increase. Regarding that, for me personally, I have not been so intrigued to go to the movies lately because I just feel like, writing's bad, messages are bad, they make me feel bad as, a person. And I don't really like going to the movies as much as I used to. They're not, as fun and uplifting as they used to be. There's always a message or whatever, But anyways, continuing on, sorry for the tangent. For future financing, we may be required to issue additional debt, which may be unavailable on favorable terms or at all, and which would exacerbate the challenges created by our high leverage. And final bullet point here, the third bullet point, we may be unable to issue currency in strategic transactions, including acquisitions, joint ventures, or in connection with landlord negotiations, which may prevent us from entering into transactions that could increase shareholder value. One of the things that, I think is good regarding the debt is that interest rates are coming down, so that's potentially good for AMC. And then coming over here, I'm not going to read all this one, but you guys can find the tweet and you can read this, or you can find the document that he links to and you can look that up. But I'm going to like that because I didn't pay attention to it before, apparently. And so, having gone over that, coming back to this, main tweet that I was going over, let's look at the document here, just so we can all see. This is, in all honesty, not the way that I got access to it. So you can't see it, but up here, it is an sec.gov website. So this is, the official document of it. The way that I personally would and or have found AMC SEC documentation is by going to their investor relations website, and I'll include a link to that in the description below so you can do this exact same thing. So this is, let's see, if I go to, just their, I might actually take a step back. I'm just going to go to their investor relations page. So this is just the overview tab. and then I'm just going to go to SEC filings. So I'm clicking that. That's how I'm getting to this page. Very easy to do. I'm probably just going to include a link to this page anyways. And so what we can do is scroll down with Ed blocking a little bit of it, but I like him to keep me company, so I'm going to leave him there. Filing type, view all, year, view all. Very easy because today is the 7th. This just came out. So this is that document that Ryan has linked over here. So it should be the exact same document. I guess there's just a little bit of different formatting. And, this is from the sec.gov website. This is from the AMC website. So, they're the same. We scroll down and to see that point 5 that, I had just read, proposal 5. There's some things that make me feel not so great about this. And so I don't know if you guys remember December 6th of 2024, but that's when there was an announcement that we were going to be diluting by, I believe, 5 million shares. And, I'll go over that. But, this is, 1 cent per share. That brings back some memories. And this is, my understanding is, we have access to this many shares, but we're running like the tank pretty close to dry. And so this would just be a vote so that AMC as needed would have access to 1.1 billion shares instead of just the additional, 1 point whatever. I might actually pull that back up. What was that number? So this was in March 6th of 2025. Ryan is saying that we have approximately 1 million authorized shares of common stock remaining. And so that's all that we have left. And so, I'm going to be a nerd again, pull up a calculator, and we can just do, 1 million. So there's 1 million, got the commas there. And we can multiply that by, current share price, which is around 2.8. That's $2.8 million. That's not a lot of money to work with. And so this really just, gives AMC the toolbox to be able to have access to more money if need be. And so I feel better about this, learning more about this right now. I can say that. But at the same time, I don't necessarily feel good about it. But yeah, so we have access via shares that we can issue of about $2.8 million. At current share price, it can go lower, it can go higher. And so if we do come back to, I think this is the right tab. Yeah, okay. So, just thinking about that, this brings back memories of December 6th of 2024. And the reason for that, I'm back at the SEC filings page, but I've done a little bit of homework here. I remember the 8K filing from the year 2024. At the very end of the year, on December 6th, there was an 8K filing, and that is when we announced that we would, be diluting. And so if I do pull up, it's not the same kind of document, but it's an SEC document, so I guess it's kind of the same. Let's see, we can scroll down. And from this, I was looking at this on my phone when I was at work, so things are formatted a little bit differently. But this is, around 50 million. I was wrong when I said 5 million before. 50 million shares. And then this is the 1 cent over here of the common stock. That's kind of traumatic for me. And let's see. That's pretty much it. That's the main points from this. I think I included a screenshot of this to a buddy on X. I just wanted his perspective on. And actually, maybe this is an appropriate time to pull that up. So this is a tweet from Volatility or Talati Tapan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he is a really nice person if you want to get a very critical perspective on something from. So I think that he can be a nice way to balance any bullish bias that you have, or maybe to check a bearish thesis, whatever it is. I really think he has great content, but also he can be pretty critical, but I think it's a very valuable perspective. This is the real world, not everything works out. And so we have to, face reality sometimes. And so Volatility is saying, AMC, it was inevitable. And, Ryan kind of went over that in his tweets. It was inevitable. And so this is the document, that I just went over, Proposal 5 right there. And, I already liked it. And then I commented on this. I actually retweeted this because I wanted to share, my thoughts with those who follow. And this is actually what I just was going over here. It's just this paragraph. This is just a screenshot from my phone. But yeah, so on December 6th, the 50, oops, I thought that I'd be able to highlight it as text, but it's not recognized, I guess. But yeah, 50 million shares there, 1 cent, talked about that. And so these are my thoughts. I'm asking him for his brutally honest thoughts, and I'll go over this exchange because maybe it's helpful for you guys. And because I want to be honest with you guys, I always try to be. And this whole channel is, and actually, I'm going to pull it up, the description of, what this channel is, because maybe I've veered away from that, but it's always been the same thing. But yeah, I'll come back to that at some point. But yeah, so here, what are your brutally honest thoughts? I just wanted his perspective on it. And so my thoughts are that I was hoping we put in a higher low above $2.80, which I've talked about in the recent video and the video before, I believe. But that doesn't seem feasible now with it trading less than $2.80 overnight. It's overnight trading, so maybe we come back up before market opens. But I suspect we're going to be putting in a lower low there. However, I'll go over this in the chart, but it was in the last video, that perhaps it could sweep the recent lows below 267 and bottom and there with a spring, but that's probably hopium. And so my thoughts are, that lower it likely goes before and after December. Let's see, sorry about that. I'm just going to keep it so I can scroll. And before and after December 10th, sad face, I'm not too happy about this. And so my sentiment is based on how last December, AMC filed to issue up to a maximum of 50 million shares. That's funny. I just wrote this an hour ago, and I forgot it was 50 million. I knew there was a 5 there. But price went from over $5, and that, has to do with Max Payne, I think. It was like a perfectly horribly timed announcement, in my opinion. If you want your stock to go up, you do not make the announcement on a Friday morning when we had just closed above 5 when Max Payne was 450. So, yeah, I thought that was really bad. And so the price went from greater than $5 to where it is now. And so, in all honesty, it just seems like there's no hope. I probably should have written that as seems like there is little hope. But I think it's good to be brutally honest. Between now and December and into 2026, it might be notably lower than $5. It might be notably lower than where it is right now. But it could also have some volatile moves to the upside. I have no idea. But yeah, just continuing on here. So volatility is saying, man, I really thought that this time around, and in all honesty, for a disclaimer, I am a shareholder. I'm not sure if volatility is a shareholder. He just likes to go over charts and he can be very critical. Some of them I think that he holds, some of them he doesn't. We're all different in how we like to share that stuff. But I have no idea if he does. But he does like to be critical of it. And I think it's good to have a balanced perspective. I think it's good to take in criticism. And, and that's what's great about X. The majority of the people that I interact with on X, I don't agree with them on a lot of things, but it's, just sharing ideas with people. We need more of that. Anyways, man, I really thought that this time around, it would eventually take it to 350 mark before giving up the momentum. And, in the recent videos, I've been thinking, I didn't get my order filled at 380. I did get my order filled at 280. I didn't get my order filled at 280. I did get my order filled at 290 today. And I was really thinking that things would be looking good for it. So this is just not such, I'm bummed about this, to be honest. So he continues on, but now I really don't like when he tags Adam Aaron just because it's, somebody's listening, and people will say this, it depends, the CEO is not your friend. They're trying to run a business. and shareholders were a resource to CEOs. It's not saying he's a bad one necessarily. It's just that CEOs, their job is to run a business. It's not to appease shareholders. But yeah, so he continues on. But now it's at a pivotal point. 280. I've talked about that being a pretty important level as well. With those lows, actually 279. I talked about that, months ago. Should not break. 280 should not break. I still think Adam Aaron will find a way to pump this shitco before bringing the whole house down. And so this is a very interesting point, and I'll follow up on it. So yeah, I'll follow up on that with the thread here, our exchange, and before the whole house comes down. So as far as the price action is concerned, dip to 270s and then run up to 350 is still valid. Let's see though. Of course, we're always seeing, and we're all just trying to understand what might be happening in the future. None of us know. And so looking at his charts, he does like really good analysis, and this is kind of like this green and red shading. This would be like, you want to have a stop loss there. That's what that shading means. And so this is like, the risk to the downside. This is the reward to the upside. And, the way that he does his analysis, I have not been, I have not learned what all this stuff means, in all honesty. So, yeah, but from his analysis, I could do that, but then this video would just be really long and, all of that. Don't want to go down too many rabbit holes, and I'm tired. But yeah, so he says that, he thinks it could be going up to around the 350 area. And actually 350 area is pretty interesting. I'll bring that up in the chart in a minute. But yeah, just continuing on. And then so, I just told him, dang, more optimistic than I expected, just because he can be very, I just assumed he was going to say it's going to, much lower. And so this is, from him, very optimistic to think that it could be going to 350 from his perspective. And then, he continues on with a response. Honestly, this fool, who he's referring to, AA, will find a way to pump it before the actual mother lode for the sake of liquidity. So just remember that if this is going up a lot, whether it's to 350 or higher, and we still have this dilution stuff coming up, it's probably a bad one to be chasing, and it might be good to, you do whatever you want to do, but I'm a big fan of trimming as things go up, to be able to buy back more comfortably if things go down, and or to exit, whatever you want to do. So, you do whatever you want to do. But yeah, if it does start to make some big moves to the upside, managing risk, and kind of the way that I like to manage risk is I like to sell covered calls. If it goes up a lot, maybe some of them expire in the money, and I have to sell some shares at those strikes. So that's kind of the way that I do it. It's very boring, but I make a little bit of money every day doing it, basically. Yep. And so he's just saying, it's really sad. We're all bummed about this. And then so my thoughts. My thoughts. I guess I can click on that, make it a little bit bigger up here, whatever. 'Tis the season. With Uptober and Moonvember. Although, while other stocks may be celebrating Bullcember, it might be Dumpcember for AMC. And so this, I think, takes me back to kind of more of a personal point that, following the pandemic, I left my career to, try to do other stuff for a number of reasons, not important. And, yeah, I just, and whether it's stock market or it's basically, I was hoping to grow this other YouTube channel that failed. And so it's been, trying to figure out, how to navigate life, new career direction or whatever. And in all honesty, the way that I make videos, this video is probably not going to perform very well. Yeah, it's like YouTube's not really an option. And so one of the things that I've kind of realized through making videos for this channel is I've been able to monetize it. I do get a little bit of money from video, well, not from videos, I guess, from collectively every month. If I get enough views, the minimum is $100. And if that doesn't happen, then it rolls into the next month up until 100, and then I get that. So I don't get paid every month from YouTube. So it's, like at best $100 a month. That's not enough. And, so through making these videos, I kind of realized, well, part of the reason why I didn't make so many the past few months is because I've just been trying to focus on what works for me. And what works for me, thinking about this stuff, Uptober, Moonvember, I don't know if these are stock terms or if those are just crypto terms. But a couple of years ago, it's like, well, AMC was dipping below 8 or something like that. And it's like, oh, well, this seems like it's a discount. I'm going to take advantage of that. And then it just kept going lower. And then I just started to think, well, man, I got introduced to Bitcoin and crypto in late 2017. And, bought the top, experienced that. And, basically that's happened twice to me. And this is like the first time where, I was really trying to be patient and wait for Bitcoin to bottom around 12,000. It bottomed around 15,000 and I didn't jump on it. And because of that, I had some cash on the side. I guess that would have been 2023. And it's like, well, I kind of missed that with Bitcoin. I'm just going to still be patient and wait for it. But AMC looks like it's at a discount. Yeah, we can actually pull up the AMC chart to see since I'm in story mode or whatever. And so 2023, this is, post splits, so I have no idea. But yeah, around this time, whatever, I don't even know how to calculate the share price back then. I think I could adjust it in TradingView so it wouldn't be doing that. So it wouldn't adjust. It would just give the numbers there. But I'm not going to do that because I don't really care. But, around here, I was like, well, I'll buy, the dips. And as we all know, that didn't really work out that well. And so following that, I kind of recognized, well, I missed the bottom on Bitcoin, but I still have experienced multiple cycles, although I was not actively involved in them, and I ended up being a bag holder with them. Not a huge amount of money, but, hard lessons learned. And I realized, well, basically a year ago, we're coming up on the 4th year in the Bitcoin cycle. We could be seeing some explosive moves at the end of 2025. And so I started stacking, and I do this series every Saturday. Crypto Corner Sat Stacker doesn't get many views, but it's really helpful for me. And, I've just kind of been focusing on that, what works for me. It's very boring. I dollar cost average every day, basically, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And yeah, I guess we'll have the chart here. I can pull it up. You guys probably don't care, but, I'm just like sharing my thoughts and stuff. Crypto really relates a lot to AMC. And so, yeah, over here, this is crazy. See these green lines? I have videos called ETHster, Happy ETHster. I thought that was going to be the bottom, and I didn't throw everything at it, but I, bought more aggressively there. And I've been adding up here, and I'm up pretty good in my position. It's not life-changing money, but I think, if I manage my life well enough, it could be. And I mean, that's kind of my goal. I hate the job that I have. I think that I'm proficient in enough things. Handyman, I hustle, stuff like that. Trading and YouTube. I really want to be able to quit my job next year. And I think with crypto, I'll be able to do that. You still have to hustle, still probably have to do odd jobs and whatnot. But the reason why I did this was because I stopped taking advantage of the dips on AMC, and I started focusing on something that I felt like I really understood the cycles of it. Everybody hated Ethereum back here, and I loved it. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know. This is kind of where my head's been, and I recently just put out kind of an update video on Ethereum that I think it bottomed again here, a very important level. And I think that this could be doubling by the end of the year. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like I understand that space. I think crypto is going to be rallying a lot towards the end of the year. I don't know how that's going to play out with AMC. But with the announcement of the dilution, I think that, and also just things seem like they're lining up for not AMC specifically, maybe not AMC, or maybe exclusively not AMC. I don't know. But I feel like we're about to get into some very volatile moves to the upside, and maybe AMC will partake in that. I don't know. That's kind of what I've been thinking with this. And I did in the last video suggest that if we do go lower than the lows here, 280, we could be sweeping the lows over here. This is the low that I mentioned to volatility, to Talati Tapan. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. But the low is 267. So my thoughts are that, we sweep that, get below this yellow trend line, wick below but close above. And then maybe that is, like the ultimate dip buying opportunity before it goes up. And so whether that's Uptober, Moonvember, Bullcember, whatever it is, I don't know. But yeah, let's see. Talati Tapan from over here, from this exchange, Talati Tapan, yeah. He had mentioned, around 350. And so that kind of makes me think, if I pull up the Webull chart, you guys might recognize this chart. I haven't, done anything with it for a while, but I have this purple dashed line here. That purple dashed line is $3.68, 1 penny off, dang it. But that's the average price that AMC raised capital, when they did that 50 million share dilution. And so I think that's actually going to be some pretty significant resistance. It was over here, hit a high of 408, got rejected. And, over here, I had talked about this, man. I had talked about this a lot. And like I said, this video is probably not going to get that many views. If you're still watching this, let me know if you're watching it at 37 minutes. But yeah, here on December 5th, we closed at a price of $5.20. And then we just bled following that. That's just crazy. Hit a high here of 408. And yeah, so if I do come back over to here and we just look at the AMC chart, maybe to put that in perspective over here, this is the, May high of 408. Go back a little bit more. This is, that December 5th line there, or the candle, the wick, up to a high of $5.56. So we were 2 strikes above max pain. If you don't believe me, we can look it up. So over here, this is data from Unusual Whales. I'm just going to go over to the Greeks. This is AMC, as you can see. I'm going to click the Greeks. Usually takes a minute to load, but we can see here, just if you're curious too, max pain for many months ahead, $3. This can, of course, change. It changes. The data changes every day. But if we look at this, I could enlarge it, but it kind of makes the lines a little bit finer. I don't know if that's easier to see, but we can look back in time at December 6th. And so let's see where that is. That might be up here. Yeah, pinpointed that. I know this. The reason why I know this is because the stock price in gray was well above that max pain. And so max pain on December 5th, the day before we got the announcement of that dilution, the 50 million shares, we closed at 520 and max pain was 450. We hit a high that day of 556, I believe, above 550. My memory, I say things, I don't remember what I say. Yeah, so things were looking really good that day. But then on Friday in the morning in the pre-market, we got the announcement of the 50 million share dilution. Max pain then increased to 5. And we closed below 5. So on that day, on December 6th, we closed at 473, below max pain. And yeah, so with the news that we got now, I feel like whenever we get the announcement of dilution, which is going to be happening, so this is a vote on whether or not we can dilute. But whenever we get the announcement of actual dilution, I think the stock price is going to go down. It did over here. And we can do a measurement to see percentage-wise where it went down from 520 down to, let's see, I'll do it to 280 because that seems like it's such an important level. 46.2% down. And it's been lower than that. And so that just doesn't seem that good. I don't really want to experience that again. I would like to focus more on trading stuff that has conviction, that has potential to, 2x like Ethereum, pinpointing bottoms like Ethereum's at 1400, like its recent bottom, whether it's crypto or stocks, whatever. But I mean, this is kind of what we have to look forward to as a potential, 46% drawdown. And that could be after a big rally, October, Moonvember, before dilution December. So I don't know. And also too, because we're not, and this actually came up in a stream. I've been streaming more, and so I just this is effectively a stream of me just rambling and stuff. I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to share my thoughts with you guys. But in a stream, I had mentioned somebody requested a stock that had a pretty low price, like in the pennies or $1 something. And I was going to say, I don't really like stocks that are below $1, but then I caught myself and it's like, well, actually, I don't really like stocks that are below $3 because then I feel like it's just probably going to be heading towards $1. And then once it gets below $1 and it stays below $1, it's not going to be compliant. And then they're going to have to do a reverse split, and then the stock price is going to go lower. And so with this, more dilution, I mean, I think that there are two sides to it. If we do a reverse split, it's because we need to maintain compliance, not to raise capital for the company, as far as I understand it. That does dilute our value of the shares, the value of each share. And so, I mean, if we were to, we're below $3 now. And so I think that if we do something that could result in a 46.2% drawdown in price and we're at 280, let's be a nerd. I adjusted that, but let's be a nerd and pull up the calculator again. So let's see. That's a negative 46.2%. So the remainder would be that. So let's just do 50%, 50-50. So what's 50% of, 280? That is a share price of, let's just say 150, 140, somewhere around there. That's getting pretty close to $1. And so it could be getting close to needing to do a reverse split at that point. So I don't know. That just doesn't seem that good. But at the same time, I think it's good that we're getting an announcement like this when AMC is not at like a pivotal high on a Friday before market opens, that when we're above max pain and then we close below. Not that it's necessarily that significant, but clearly, we were taken off here and then it started to sell off. So, I'm just going to do that. I should have clicked it so it would have stayed. Oops. But so if we're going to be diluting the share price and we're around where we're at now, then we're probably going to have a reverse split. But if we start to get some upside moves in October, in Moonvember, because, whatever craziness is going on in the markets, not just crypto, not just stocks, just markets in general. Gold's hitting all-time highs. The S&P 500 is hitting all-time highs. I think the QQQ as well, the NASDAQ. I don't know. I could pull it up, but so I think that we could be I mean, I still don't have this really just puts a big damper on my thesis. And, I was really excited about this. I mean, this, kind of played out so far, coming down. Um, but yeah, I mean, this could be going lower. So, 269, the cursor fell there. I think it's a good luck charm. Um, but yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I think at this point, like 2021 to now, it's been like 4 years, almost 5 years. Um, yeah, I mean, we all got to make our own decisions, and I don't want to be influencing people. I had thought about, um, I'm selling covered calls. I sell covered calls. Basically, the way that I do that is I just look at max pain and I see, what's max pain. Okay, I don't think price is going to close above that. I'll sell some covered calls above that max pain. And then I just collect. It's basically like $1 a day. It's very lame. Um, but now I was thinking, well, maybe I should be more aggressive with those. Maybe, um, actually, let's see. Have I been selling them? I'm just gonna look at my phone. Have I been selling $3 strike max pains? No, I've been doing like 556. I've been doing six. I know this. Every day I basically sell some covered calls with a $6 strike. I get $1 for them. It's so boring. And so, then I'm thinking maybe I want to sell some covered calls um, with a more aggressive max pain or a more, to collect more premium. So a lower max pain, a less conservative max pain. But then I'm thinking, well, maybe this is just capitulation. And maybe if my thesis is changing and maybe I'm like crashing out, maybe we start to see a squeeze. And so maybe it would be a very bad idea to change my strategy of basically going after the highest, strikes for selling covered calls on a weekly basis, collecting, dollars each day. Yeah. And I guess, I should note that I was going to buy 10 shares at 290 and reevaluate. I had more confidence in this. I upped it to 20 shares, so it's not a lot, but now my share count is divisible by 100, so I can sell, covered calls on all of the shares that I have rather than having an odd 80 at the end. And then, it's like, okay, well, now that I've done that, then, the only way I'd want to be accumulating more shares is just by selling cash secured puts. And I was thinking about, oh, well, I could sell a cash secured put for October with a $3 strike. And I'd like to sell it for, I think I was saying 37 cents. It had gotten canceled, and so I reopened it. But then I think with October monthly strike or the expiration, I wouldn't get the fill on that. So then I did place an order. I still have it placed, but to be honest, I'm going to cancel it for a $3 strike put that expires November 21st. It's a monthly expiration, and that if I pull it up, it's just a table, and it's just kind of boring. I think maybe I got the contract over here. $3 put. The high for today. I joke around about being superstitious, and I mention it every once in a while. But, sometimes you got to listen to the wind blow. I had a limit sell order for 42 cents, because I'm an idiot, 420. And yeah, the high was 41 cents. And I've been thinking I want to cancel it. So, I mean, that makes me think that, it didn't fill today for a reason. And that, kind of like how in 2023, when I started buying AMC because I thought it was dipping and I thought I'd be able to take advantage of that and make some money, even though I had a crypto thesis, I was stubborn and waiting for Bitcoin to bottom, and it didn't get to that level. I should have recognized at the time, well, I was wrong about that, but I still have the conviction in that thesis, not with the bottom anymore, but with it, doing what it's doing right now. Crypto, it's like Bitcoin could hit 200,000 by the end of the year. That's crazy. Well, I don't know, but I think it's definitely feasible. And, it's like when you go to work and people aren't talking about Bitcoin, yeah, we're not at euphoria yet. But yeah, it's like this just makes me think, I just get some more shares today, not a lot. But, I'm feeling good about my thesis. And then, we get this news, that Ryan was posting about that I went over with you guys. I think over here. Yeah. So, yeah, this just makes me think that money's better spent elsewhere as far as investing goes. That's worked out better for me. And, I think that if we get this announcement, on December 10th, I don't think that's going to be good for the stock price. I think it could be a repeat of what happened last year, coming down about 50%. And so do I want to do that? Do I want to continue to just hold this, to just buy the dip? Or, maybe I could just hold this, but then, it is what it is. And, or do I want to trim and, try to, take better advantage of things that I have a more compelling thesis on that, I'm compelled by, which is Ethereum, which, in and out. And this brings me to the point of, what this channel is all about. And so this is not something that I really go over, but let's see if I can I zoom in on this? We can read it a little better. And so the goal of this channel is to go over weekly trading ideas, serving as a personal trading journal to implement, enter, and exit strategies. This is, a part of that. I'm not trying to suggest anything, but it's about trading based on technical analysis and market sentiment. What's my sentiment right now? I feel like this is capitulation. None of this is financial advice and is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Ticker requests are welcome. As always, it's been so fun doing that. I hope to continue doing this for years to come. And request them in the live chat during streams or in the comments. And, since I'm trying to do more streams, I may not be able to do too many requests from the comments. But yeah, this is about, enter and exit strategies. And then actually, if I pull up, let's see, I'm just going to mute my computer. Make sure that's mute. I'm going to go to the live streams and then just go up the most recent ticker request live. Maybe I'm actually not going to pull it up on the channel view. I will do it from my dashboard for the channel. We can go over to the content, look at the lives. And, for ticker request live, what do I say in this? And maybe I want to zoom in on this as well so you guys can read it better. I'll be going over charts of stocks, commodities, and crypto. I don't really do commodities that much anymore. But, it's scanning for in and out play setups, and taking ticker requests. And so, yeah, I wouldn't still be here if it wasn't for AMC, but there hasn't been an out, and life must go on. And, what am I doing here? I think I need to go to bed. Let's see. Yeah, there's that. Coming back over to the channel. Yeah. I guess with that being said, thank you all so much for subscribing and listening to me go on, well, not necessarily rants, but tangents, talking about my thoughts and stuff. I'm going to continue to do it, but I might cover AMC a little bit less because, unless things stand out to me, but I, like a couple of days ago on Sunday, I made a video about AMC, and, it's like there's concern, is AMC dead? And it's like, well, it hasn't even come down to my level yet. Now, is it dead? No, in that video, I even talked about it sweeping the lows over here, and that could be like the final, end boss or something. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to give false hope. And I want people to be able to make the best decisions for themselves. I want to be able to make the best decision for myself. And just, like continuing to add to my AMC position, I feel like it's not going to be worth it. Even if I got my average down to like 350 and that's like where we top out at or something, you know, yeah, so I don't know. I need to think more about what I'm going to do with my position, but I think that I am going to continue to be conservative with my selling of covered calls because I think that we could be at, potentially a capitulation point. So let's look up the market psychology chart. And so this, I don't think this is, oh, this looks a little bit bigger. Go away. Open image in new tab. I don't want to be getting a pop-up. And so here, let's just zoom in on this a little bit. Where is capitulation? Capitulation's over here. So, this is probably not capitulation. Maybe this is, but this could be capitulation. Maybe we go up a little bit more. We have some rallies. But, this could be a really long time. If we've been in this, was euphoria? Was this euphoria? 408? That was the squeeze. That was the MOAS. Over here, yeah, that was, yeah. So I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know. This video is probably worthless, probably not helpful. Nobody likes it. If you do like it, let me know. And, yeah, I want to be inspired by the charts. And, it's just more of the same news with AMC. The Taylor Swift stuff's exciting. I'm happy about that. I think that's good. But yeah, I feel like the majority of movies that I see these days, they either make me feel bad, they make me feel like, yeah, toxic masculinity, stuff like that. We're just guys. I'm just a guy. Everybody has toxic aspects to them. Why do I want to go to a movie that makes me feel like that? Or why do I want to go to a movie that I just feel like is delusional or poorly written or I guess some poorly produced movies are really good, if they're on a budget. One of the movies I really wanted to see was it Primal War or whatever? It was only in theaters for like a week where I live. I didn't get to see it. But yeah, I want more like dinosaurs eating people, not baby CGI dinosaurs. And yeah, I don't know. Deadpool and Wolverine was cool. But yeah, I'm just going to be ranting and tangenting, and it's well past my bedtime. It is now the 8th where I live. So I'm going to wind this down, and I hope it's helpful for you guys, but yeah, I don't know what to think about AMC. And I just wanted to put all of this out there because, I want to move on with my life. And I feel like I've been able to do that on the side of AMC, but yeah. So yeah, I hope this was helpful for you guys, and let me know if it was. Make fun of me if you want to for, crashing out, if that's what this is, but I don't think it is. I think I'm just, going through my thought process. And yeah, but this really just reminds me of, basically following last December 6th. And price just, this looks like such a big high. But this was that December 6th. And this is the chart. And all of those ape units, I thought those things were so sketch because it was like we weren't allowing the dilution. We voted no. And so, yeah, I saw this on X, somebody posted about, if we vote no, we're going to get ape 2.0. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like, no. I like, I, not that I'm going to do this, but it's like, well, I can vote yes and we get more of this, or I vote no and we get more of this, or I can say just F it, walk away and buy more Ethereum. I'm not going to do that, but it's a thought. It's been a thought. I mean, it's been a thought for years. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think things are getting better. Definitely not for shareholders. But yeah, maybe we see some volatile moves to the upside. And so I guess, if I were to do another video on AMC, if we start to show a bottom respecting this yellow line, maybe I'll follow up with that. And if we, get back up to here, kind of like, what volatility Talati Tapan was saying, 350. Maybe I'd evaluate there. Maybe that would be suggesting that the top is in, or that, there are two different ways this can go. One is it can go up, it can go down, or a third way, it could go sideways if it's at 350. And so, if you're into betting and stuff, it's like, how much you want to bet it's going higher? Don't you want to have a little bit of a hedge in case it goes lower? Take some off the side, and then you can get them back lower, whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I'm bummed about this, and I wanted to share. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just a reflection of what we've all been going through. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little more critical than a lot of people. But I think it's reality. It's the real world. Things go to zero. I'm not saying that AMC is going to go to zero, but I mean, what's worse, a death by 1,000 cuts or just the end? And I think that we might be seeing the 1,000 cuts, but maybe not. I mean, maybe we're starting to turn it around, and maybe it's just to have, the war chest ready to be able to dilute if needed. And, what's better, diluting down here or, diluting up here, at 10? Maybe we could see something like this. I mean, I still think it's possible, but I'm not trying to suggest that I really think, and looking at it on this time frame, I was doing the weekly AMC videos here. I remember actually messaging volatility Talati Tapan on, maybe it's Tapan, I don't know, on X. I think it was Twitter back then, I'm not sure. And I had sent him, and by the way, I know that, I'm a topping signal. I didn't sell anything. I could have sold at profit, at slightly above break even there, and I didn't. And yeah, I mean, that looking at the chart over the past couple years, that would have been, I guess that's just the past year and a few months. That would have been a really good thing, $10 is worth more than $2.80. But yeah, I mean, again, hopefully this is helpful. I feel kind of stupid doing this, but I hope it's helpful. And if you want to do this, I'm gonna cover stocks that stand out to me. And I did a very interesting video this morning, I believe, I guess yesterday morning now, on Webull and Snapchat. And I just think the analysis of that's really cool. Yeah, I was going to go over some net call premium and stuff with AMC, but there's nothing that stands out. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'll be streaming tomorrow or on, Wednesday, pump day, at, let's see, 1:30 Eastern to 2 p.m. And yeah, maybe I can follow up on AMC if you watch this, but I doubt anybody's going to watch this more than an hour long video. But yeah, I will, I'm going to say goodbye. Bye, guys.